Please like and subscribe. Chapter 2. Sarutobi glared at Kakashi from across his desk and slowly said, "You mean to tell me, Hatake, that you agreed to lead a team of green genin on an A-class mission? Not only that, but you failed to call for reinforcements or establish a proper watch? And that's not even getting to the bottom of your incompetence. Introducing tree climbing exercises after a month of active duty? What have you been doing this past month with your team, watching porn?" The old leader then folded his hands and said in a neutral tone that sent shivers of fear down Kakashi's back, "What you did on that mission, Hatake, was inexcusable." Sarutobi pulled out a half-inch thick folder and placed it on his desk. In that same chilling and yet neutral tone, Sarutobi continued on. "Do you know what this is, Hatake? This is a detailed record of everything your team did since it encountered the Demon Brothers to the time your team left Wave. There are even word-for-word records of your team's conversations, particularly your orders and your training in this report." Kakashi somehow gave the impression that he was blushing, even though no one could see it because of his mask. Oh, Kakashi knew that he'd get into a little trouble considering how the mission had gone. However, he had never expected to be in this much trouble. The old, usually friendly, Hokage was really cooking Kakashi's goose over this mission. Sarutobi then sighed and said, "I see now that it was a mistake having you command a genin team. You are obviously incapable of handling the responsibilities that are required of a genin instructor." He then pulled out a small scroll and started writing on it while continuing on, "As of this moment, Jonin Kakashi Hatake, you are no longer the instructor for Genin Team 7. You are to tell your former students to report to my office in 1 hour so that they may meet their new instructor." Even though Kakashi didn't show it, he felt like someone had pounded a dull, rusty spike through his chest. He was removed from his team for negligence. That was a dishonor that would stay with him for the rest of his life. It was one thing to be reassigned because you were needed elsewhere or you couldn't work well with your teammates, but removal was something totally different. It meant that you screwed up so badly that you weren't ever going to get a second chance. With only a dumb nod, Kakashi left Sarutobi's office and dragged himself through the streets. How had it come to this? Slowly as Kakashi wandered towards Team 7's training ground, he thought back over everything Team 7 had been through. Even if Kakashi didn't want to admit it, he'd been happier since he took control of Team 7 than he'd been in years. Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura, all three of them had grown on Kakashi. They were like the nephews and niece that he never had. And now, it was gone. Kakashi realized all too late that he'd been so wrapped up in his past, that he hadn't paid attention to the present. By mourning the past, he'd been destroying his future. If only he'd been training Team 7 instead of mourning his comrades' passing. What would Obito and Minato think of the fact that he had put their only living relatives in jeopardy because he failed to train them properly? Minato would have called in for reinforcements the second he knew that the situation had escalated beyond what the team could be expected to handle. As for Obito, he'd probably get on Kakashi's case about mourning everyone for so long. Eventually, Kakashi made it to where Team 7 was waiting for him. Sasuke was sitting on a tree branch staring out at the small stream nearby. Sakura was lying against the bridge post staring at Sasuke. Naruto was surprisingly sitting next to the tree trunk almost perpendicular to Sasuke and reading a scroll. After looking at this bittersweet scene for a moment with the Sharingan to engrave it into his memory, Kakashi slowly walked into his soon-to-be former student's view. Normally, Naruto would have dropped his scroll at this point and start pestering Kakashi about either learning something new or about getting a cool mission. The boy had matured a good deal since the mission to Wave, but that maturity only came out when Naruto was actually training or on a mission. Even during the missions, Naruto's newfound maturity only showed itself by the reduction of his complaints about said missions. Naruto looked at Kakashi and inquired, "What's wrong, Kakashi?" Even though Naruto didn't mean to, the innocent question was like someone was twisting the knife that Kakashi felt was lodged in his heart. Kakashi forced himself to look at his former students and say, I've been relieved of command for Team 7. You three are to report to the Hokage's office immediately where you will meet your new commander and instructor. Listen to him or her and follow the directions you are given. Also, remember that those who don't follow the rules are trash. but those who abandon their comrades are lower than trash. It has been a pleasure teaching the three of you, and I wish you well in your future careers. Back in Sarutobi's office, an ANBU appeared before the old Hokage kneeling. The ANBU bowed his head and said, "You called for me, Lord Hokage." Sarutobi nodded his head and firmly said, "Take off your mask, Tenzu. As of this moment you are on permanent stand down from the ANBU. As of this moment you are Team 7's Jonin instructor. You will carry out this task until all members of Team 7 have achieved the rank of Chunin. After that, you may return to the ANBU or be a regular Jonin." Tenzu nodded his head, removed his ANBU mask, and quickly pocketed it. He then stood up and said, "I will try to validate your trust in me, Lord Hokage. But I have to wonder, wasn't it a little drastic to remove Kakashi from his post? After all, no one was seriously harmed by the mission, and there are times when missions escalate beyond what is expected." Sarutobi sighed and said, "While it is true that missions can get out of hand, what happened in Wave was inexcusable. Kakashi should have called for reinforcements as soon as he realized that Zabuza would return. Wave is close enough that the message could be sent and the reinforcements would arrive well before Zabuza recovered. Genin have no reason to be in the middle of an A-class mission, except in times of war. What's more, the lack of training that Kakashi gave his team beforehand shows that he hasn't been taking his responsibility as seriously as he should. I trust that you will not make the same mistakes, Tenzu." Before Tenzu could respond, the office door swung open and Team 7 barged into the room. Naruto was the first through the door and he practically screamed out, "Hey old man. What's the deal about Kakashi not being our teacher?" Naturally, Sasuke and Sakura were slightly embarrassed with how Naruto addressed Sarutobi. However, they both had similar sentiments. After a brief chuckle escaped Sarutobi's lips, he stated, "Kakashi has been removed as your instructor because of some serious mistakes in judgment that he made during your last mission. Try to remember what Kakashi did wrong, so that if any of you become Jonin instructors you will know what not to do. Tenzu here will be your new Jonin instructor. I expect that you three will show him the respect and obedience that he deserves." Tenzu slowly looked at his three new students, memorizing their faces. After their faces were burned into his memory, Tenzu said, "As Lord Hokage said, I am Tenzu, your new instructor. Since you are unused to leader changes yet, I shall allow you to have this afternoon off. I urge you to take this time to review your current skills in independent training. Tomorrow you will report to Team 7's usual training ground at 7 a.m. with your full mission gear. That is all." Sasuke was the first member of Team 7 to respond to Tenzu's order by simply turning around and walking out the door. Sakura quickly followed after Sasuke, but not before politely saying goodbye to Tenzu. However, Naruto stood where he was questioningly looking at Tenzu. For a second, Tenzu wondered why Naruto was staring at him. Then it came to him and the former ANBU politely stated, "Do not worry, Naruto. I bear you no ill will because of the QB." As soon as Naruto heard that, the young man's face regained its normal smile and Naruto left the office. Sarutobi smiled at the scene and said, "You may not realize it, Tenzu, but you just earned yourself a special place in Naruto's heart. The boy may be impatient when it comes to subtle things, however, he's quite good once he's shown a little attention and how to do something. If I may offer you some advice, don't reveal that you have the ability to suppress the Kyuubi's chakra, even though the Shodai's technique is not as effective without the necklace. So far, Naruto hasn't shown the ability to draw on the Kyuubi's power, and to tell him that it could get out of control would cause more harm than good." Tenzu nodded his head and said, "I understand and agree, Lord Hokage." As 7 a.m. neared, the genin in Team 7 approached the training ground. To their surprise, Tenzu was already at the training ground waiting for them. It just served to remind the members of Team that they weren't dealing with Kakashi anymore. Tenzu nodded approvingly when everyone was in front of him with 1 minute to spare. He then calmly said, "Remember to always arrive at or a little before you are supposed to arrive. Arriving too early or late can lead to major, possibly fatal, problems on a mission. Now then, I want you all to sit down in front of me." Once the genins were sitting down, Tenzu continued on. "There are 3 things that a ninja must know if he or she is to successfully complete a mission. First, you must be aware of your strengths and weaknesses. Without an honest understanding of your strengths and weaknesses, you will overestimate your abilities, which most likely will result in you being killed on a mission. Second, you must be aware of your teammates' strengths and weaknesses. Without this knowledge, you cannot know how your teammates can help with the mission. Finally, you must know how to work with your teammates. Without this knowledge, your team will not be as effective as it can be. Since some of you may still overestimate your skills, or underestimate your teammates' skills, we will first focus on becoming aware of our own abilities and deficiencies. Each of you will spar with me using the full extent of your abilities. Meanwhile, your teammates will watch the spars. After each spar you will give your assessment of your skills, then your teammates will give their assessments, and finally, I will give my assessment. It will be your responsibility to learn from these assessments and see where you are mistaken in your judgment. Tenzu looked at the trio and calmly stated, since Sasuke was the rookie of the year, he will have to spar with me first. Remember Naruto and Sakura, you must pay attention to this spar and be honest with your assessments. Said students nodded their heads while Sasuke got up and headed a little ways away into the grassy meadow. Once Tenzu was sure that his other students understood their instructions, he approached Sasuke and the spar commenced. At first the match, which was almost strictly taijutsu, was even between Tenzu and Sasuke. In fact, Sakura actually thought that Sasuke was just as good in taijutsu as Tenzu. However, Naruto was far more critical about Sasuke's match and quickly caught on to what was happening. Tenzu restricted himself so that he was fighting on Sasuke's skill level. After a few minutes, Tenzu started to release some of his self-imposed restrictions. With those restrictions removed, the spar took on a whole new dimension. Naruto couldn't help being amazed at what he was seeing. Sakura couldn't help being shocked by what she was seeing. Sasuke couldn't help being furious at what was happening to him. Tenzu was slowly, relentlessly taking control of the fight. The team's instructors seemed to be in control of every aspect of the fight. In fact, it was like Tenzu knew where Sasuke would be and what move he would use. Very quickly Sasuke got fed up with Tenzu controlling the fight and launched a fire-style fireball. Tenzu calmly stood in front of the fireball and created an earth-style mud wall to block Sasuke's attack. On the sidelines, Naruto and Sakura breathlessly watched as their teammates traded low-level ninjutsu. After a few moments something strange started to happen. Sasuke kept on firing his jutsus every which way except for where Naruto, Sakura, and Tenzu were. Tenzu then signaled Naruto and Sakura to be quiet, which made them realize that Sasuke was under a genjutsu. Eventually Tenzu felt that Sasuke had embarrassed himself enough and calmly pinned Sasuke to the ground. He then led Sasuke over to where the other members of Team 7 were at, and had Sasuke sit down. Once Sasuke was sitting down, Tenzu said, "So Sasuke, what was your mistakes in the spar?" Sasuke moodily muttered, "Letting you get behind me." Naturally, Naruto jumped in, "Hey bastard, you forgot that you were trapped in a genjutsu. Also, there's the fact that Tenzu completely owned you in taijutsu." And following the laws of Team 7's thermodynamics, Sakura promptly bashed Naruto's skull. While Sakura was removing her fist from Naruto's head, she said, "Don't speak to Sasuke like that, Naruto." Although Naruto was partially right, Sasuke, you were caught in a genjutsu for a while. Tenzu nodded his head and calmly explained, "Overall you did fairly well for a genin, Sasuke. However, there are a few things you need to work on. First off, you started to underestimate my skill in taijutsu. Often, enemy ninjas will hold back some of their skill to lure the enemy into false confidence. Second, there were a few spots in your taijutsu where you were slow in your defense. It's obvious that you're counting on the Sharingan to tell you when to protect those areas. However, you don't have the Sharingan yet, and so you shouldn't use that taijutsu style. Finally, your ability to detect subtle genjutsu isn't that good. Once again, you are obviously expecting to use the Sharingan to detect those genjutsu, and you should stop that." Sasuke silently ground his teeth together because of Tenzu's assessment as Sakura started her spar. How could Tenzu even suggest that he not use the traditional Uchiha taijutsu style? Tenzu was practically saying to Sasuke that the Avenger wouldn't develop the Sharingan. The mere insinuation that Sasuke might not develop the Sharingan was tantamount to blasphemy for the young man. All of his forefathers to his great-great-grandfather Madara and beyond had wielded the Sharingan, so Sasuke knew that eventually he'd command the Sharingan as well. It was all a matter of time. Although Sasuke had missed Sakura's spar because of his brooding, he really didn't miss much. Even Naruto, as much as he hated to, had to admit that Sakura's spar was pathetic. Sure, she gave it her all, but there's only so much a person can do with poor physical conditioning, substandard taijutsu form, small chakra reserves, and a very limited arsenal of jutsus. Once Tenzu finished critiquing Sakura, it was Naruto's turn. As Naruto approached Tenzu, he thought about Sasuke's and Sakura's fights. One thing that was obvious to Naruto was the fact that Tenzu was tough, possibly even tougher than Zabuza or Kakashi. How was he supposed to defeat someone like that by himself? Naruto didn't want to admit it, but Wave had showed Naruto that he wasn't as great as he had thought. This minuscule bit of maturity gave Naruto a flash of inspiration. How was he able to beat or at least weaken stronger ninjas in the past? Simple, he had been an unpredictable pain in the butt. Maybe some of those same tricks could work on Tenzu? After all, Sasuke went by the book and Tenzu soundly dominated that spar. Tenzu fixed his eyes on Naruto and wondered what was going through the blonde's head. After a moment, Tenzu was unable to get a good read on Naruto, but he decided to start the spar. Naturally, Naruto's opening move was to spam the field with shadow clones. Many of the clones charged for Tenzu and those were methodically destroyed. So many clones were destroyed that Tenzu disappeared from Sasuke's and Sakura's view in a cloud of smoke. The only way Sasuke and Sakura knew that Tenzu was still slaughtering the clones was the loud proof sound that each clone made as it was destroyed. Once Tenzu had taken care of the last shadow clone that had attempted to blitz him, the new instructor took a defensive stance. Since Tenzu had to do a few catch Naruto missions when he was younger, he knew better than to just charge out of the smoke trying to find the boy. Unlike Sasuke, Naruto would likely use this time to set traps to cause problems. Tenzu knew that when Naruto took things seriously, the boy could do some pretty impressive things. The only question Tenzu had at the moment was how seriously was Naruto taking this spar? As soon as the smoke cloud dissipated, Tenzu got his answer. Gale wind palms and several wind-style, great breakthroughs were shot at Tenzu from practically every angle imaginable. Tenzu calmly jumped high into air and discreetly created a set of wooden kunai. In a twisting manner, Tenzu let the kunai fly and each one struck its target. Amid the pops of the dissipated shadow clones, there was a single thud. With Naruto's location revealed, Tenzu homed in on the spot like a missile. Naruto's momentary surprise at being hit by a blunt wooden kunai was all the time that Tenzu needed. The student and the master commenced their one-on-one taijutsu spar with Naruto frantically avoiding Tenzu's strikes. Rolling, twisting, jumping, it didn't matter to Naruto what he did as long as he avoided Tenzu's fists. A couple of times Naruto tried to create some shadow clones, but Tenzu never let Naruto have enough time to finish the jutsu. After a few minutes, Tenzu had found out what he needed and forced Naruto into submission. He then led Naruto back to where Sasuke and Sakura were sitting. Once Naruto rejoined his teammates, Tenzu said, "No then, what do you have to say about Naruto's performance?" Sasuke simply stated, "Pathetic, as usual." Sakura was hesitant in responding for a second, but then she quickly agreed with Sasuke. Naturally, Naruto started to pout because Sakura thought he was pathetic. Tenzu sighed and replied, "You two weren't paying enough attention to the spar. Naruto's initial moves were fairly decent. His only real problem in that part was the fact that he didn't coordinate the attack with the shadow clones too well. On the other hand, Naruto's taijutsu was not as good as I had hoped it would be. The major problem that Naruto has in that area is the fact that he is unsuited for the tiger style that is taught at the Ninja Academy. One of the other former academy styles would be more suitable for Naruto." Sakura interrupted at this point and said, "But Tenzu, there's only one taijutsu style that's taught at the academy. What do you mean by former academy styles?" Both Sasuke and Naruto focused on Tenzu as he said, 5 years ago the High Council overrode Lord Hokage and had a series of educational reforms put in place in the academy. Some of the things, like removing the option of early graduation, were needed. Sadly, the educational reforms also removed many things from the academy so that everything was much more unified. Among the subjects reformed were the taijutsu classes. Previously, there had been 5 styles taught at the academy: tiger style, panda style, turtle style, hummingbird style, and fox style. Ever since those reforms, the only style taught at the academy has been the tiger style. Of course, members of ninja clans are allowed to substitute their clan style for the tiger style taught at the academy. Tiger style is a poor taijutsu style for Naruto because it doesn't make use of his natural agility. Although the hummingbird style would make use of Naruto's agility, Naruto wouldn't do too well with the precision accuracy that style requires. The panda style and the turtle style are even more unsuited for Naruto than the first two because one is a grappling style and the other is a very defensive style. Therefore, Naruto should learn the fox style because it combines his direct attitude with his natural agility. When Tenzu first mentioned that there was a fox style, Naruto immediately became nervous. If things were going like Naruto was suspecting they were going, the resentful villagers were about to have another thing they would claim prove he was the Kyuubi. Sure, the fox style was a style that was apparently part of Konoha, but when did rational thought ever stop morons from acting? However, as Tenzu explained the other styles, Naruto began to lose some of his nervousness at the thought of possibly learning the fox style. Obviously, Tenzu was really trying to help Naruto out by picking a better taijutsu style. Sure, the name was probably going to give Naruto problems, but he wasn't about to complain. Naruto decided then and there that he'll follow Tenzu's instructions as best he could. It was only fair considering that Tenzu was trying hard to teach him. Sarutobi was sitting at his desk when his old teammates walked through the door. The old Hokage stopped working when he saw his old teammates and said, "Koharu, Hamura, what can I do for you two today?" Koharu politely, stiffly said, "You could start off by explaining why Kakashi Hatake was removed from command of Team 7. This caused Sarutobi to narrow his eyes and he replied, "I don't see how that decision requires any explanation. Jiraiya's report clearly shows that Kakashi is not suited for commanding a Genin squad. This, plus the fact that Team 7's growth as a team was stunted by Kakashi's half-hearted attempts at training, left me with no choice except for removing Kakashi from the team." Hamura gave his old friend a polite nod and then rebutted, "While Kakashi's behavior during Team 7's recent mission leaves much to be desired, both Koharu and I have to question whether it was a wise maneuver to fully remove Kakashi from Team 7. After all, he is the only one in the village who can train certain vital skills to the members of Team 7. Sarutobi shook his head and stated, "I will not restore Kakashi to Team 7 simply because of his transplanted Sharingan eye. The Sharingan is a tool, no more, no less. Besides, we don't even know for sure if Sasuke will activate the Sharingan. Not every Uchiha was able to activate the Sharingan, so it isn't a done deal that Sasuke will develop the Sharingan as well. Even if Sasuke activates the Sharingan, he has his clan scrolls to train with. Should Sasuke prove unable to use his clan scrolls, then Kakashi can give him a few pointers." Both of Sarutobi's teammates had to admit that the old monkey had backed them into a corner. They had been sure that they could convince Sarutobi to at least reassign Kakashi to Team 7 as an assistant instructor. After all, it was imperative that Konoha regain the Sharingan as a viable bloodline quickly. Since Kakashi was the only person in the village with a Sharingan eye, he obviously was the only person who could teach Sasuke about the Sharingan. However, Sarutobi's words now had the two elders worried about more than just getting Kakashi back on Team 7. What if Sarutobi was correct? What if Sasuke didn't develop the Sharingan? The two elders suddenly became very nervous as they remembered that the chance of activating the Sharingan drastically reduced for each generation that didn't activate it. What if the Sharingan became lost? Sarutobi saw his teammates' discomfort and could barely keep himself from smiling. It might be juvenile of him, but Sarutobi couldn't help himself from enjoying their discomfort. While Sarutobi was amicable enough with his former teammates, there was an undercurrent of friction between him and them. For Sarutobi, the friction was because Hamura and Koharu had ordered Itachi to kill all the members of the Uchiha clan. In his mind, there was absolutely no reason to order Itachi to kill every man, woman, and child in the Uchiha clan. Killing the ringleaders and main supporters of the coup would have been enough. After letting the duo stew for a minute, Sarutobi said, "While I appreciate this visit, I'm afraid that our little chat will have to come to an end. As you know, the paperwork breeds faster than rabbits if I don't attend to it. Please come whenever you like if you discover something that needs to be brought to my attention." Koharu and Hamura caught on to Sarutobi's dismissal and both of them quietly left. Chapter 3. Naruto was sitting on top of the yandame's head trying to meditate and wasn't having much success. The meditation was part of the new training regime that Tenzu had installed after assessing the team. Every other day when the team wasn't on mission, Naruto was supposed to spend 2 hours meditating. According to Tenzu, the meditation would help Naruto control his chakra and help make Naruto more aware of his surroundings. Naruto chose to meditate on the yandame's head because Tenzu told him to find a peaceful spot when meditating, and the top of the Hokage monument was a very peaceful spot. As Naruto unsuccessfully attempted to stay still, his mind wandered over the past week. Things under Tenzu were very different than they had been under Kakashi. For one thing, Tenzu had told Team 7 up front that they weren't going to get another mission like Wave at all. Sure, there were C-rank missions in their futures, but they should expect them to be simple escort missions like the Wave mission was supposed to be. Sakura had been secretly grateful about Tenzu's announcement. However, Sasuke and Naruto had been quite upset at that news. Once Tenzu had set Naruto and Sasuke straight, the blonde could see why Tenzu had come down on that point. As vexing as it was to Naruto, he wasn't fully ready for missions higher than the average C-rank mission. That had been an extremely tough pill for Naruto to swallow, but the possibility of Sakura getting hurt or killed because of going on a higher-ranked mission before the team was ready forced Naruto to accept the fact. Sasuke was another story altogether. Unlike Sakura, who was worried about overstepping her limits, or Naruto, who was worried about Sakura's safety, Sasuke hadn't been able to accept the fact that Team 7 wouldn't be getting into any major fight soon. The last Uchiha was determined to awaken his Sharingan, and he knew that only a life or death struggle would do that. Naruto had noticed that Sasuke had slowly been getting more and more aggressive during training. However, Naruto simply assumed that Sasuke was feeling threatened by his progress and only redoubled his efforts to outdo the last Uchiha. In Naruto's opinion, Tenzu was a grade A teacher. Much to Naruto's annoyance, Tenzu wasn't teaching them super cool and powerful jutsus. However, Tenzu was teaching Team 7 useful D-rank jutsus and showing them how to use the lower-class jutsus to wear an enemy out. Naruto's favorite memory when Tenzu was teaching the team about this was when Tenzu completely wore out Sasuke while only using the 3 Academy jutsus and the Earth Release, Headhunter jutsu. It was one thing to see Tenzu beat Sasuke during that spar on the first day. But seeing Sasuke utterly humiliated like that? Now that was priceless. However, Sasuke's defeat had also served to drive home to Naruto that he still had a long way to go. True, Naruto had accepted the fact when he realized that Sakura could get hurt on a higher level mission. But it was seeing just how powerful and skillful other ninjas out there were that really forced Naruto to admit that he wasn't as great a ninja as he wanted to be. Of course, that only meant that Naruto was even more determined than ever to get better. 2 weeks after Tenzu took over Team 7, the team was walking towards the Hokage castle when Naruto said, "Hey Tenzu, don't you think that we're ready for a C-rank mission?" Seeing the glare Sakura was sending him, Naruto quickly amended, "It doesn't have to be a big mission. Even a delivery outside the village would work." Sasuke quietly simmered while Sakura was happy that she had gotten Naruto to cool down on potential missions. With a faint smile on his face, Tenzu said, "Be patient, Naruto. Instead of asking for a C-rank mission, you should have asked, is the team ready for one? Never go into a situation without understanding as many variables as you can. Trust me, it will make things a lot easier for you in life. With all the difficulties in life, we don't need to give ourselves handicaps." Sakura looked over to Tenzu and asked, "Does that mean that we're getting a D-rank mission today?" Tenzu calmly said, "It might and it might not. I only told Naruto that he was asking the wrong question. Never assume anything, Sakura. As a ninja, you all must carefully examine everything, even words, that you encounter on your missions. This is especially true whenever you are dealing with a political leader. Sometimes you might have a mission where you are part of a diplomatic team. In that case you have to especially pay close attention to what everyone says because words can be extremely slippery. Naruto quickly asked, so, does that mean that we will or we won't be getting a C-rank mission, Tenzu? Very quickly Tenzu replied, what it means, Naruto, is very simple, just wait and see. Remember, one of the biggest things that you need to work on is being patient. You'll find out what type of mission we'll be getting very soon. Until then, just be quiet and pay attention to your surroundings. With that said, Team 7 quietly entered the Hokage castle and headed to the mission assignment room. When Team 7 got to the room, Sarutobi looked over at Tenzu and said, tell me, Tenzu, what mission level would you prefer for your team to take today? We have got a lot of customers today, so there are some decent pickings. The Genin trio immediately turned to look at Tenzu and hear his answer. After a moment of deliberation, Tenzu said, Team 7 is ready for a simple C-rank mission, Lord Hokage. Sarutobi nodded his head and said, I have just such a mission. A professor at the Fire University is taking a few of his students on a dig at one of the abandoned cities. He has requested a ninja escort and guard for 6 weeks while he and his students have their dig. It's a long mission of a C rank, but everything checks out. Do you want this mission? Naruto really wanted to scream at Tenzu to take the mission. So what if it was guard duty while a bunch of geeks dug up rocks? It was a lot better than picking up garbage or chasing after Tora. However, Naruto was able to keep his mouth shut. Tenzu had been stressing patience and Naruto was sure that Tenzu would nix the mission if he spoke now. There was no way that Naruto was going to blow it and get stuck with a D-rank mission if he could avoid it. Actually, it was Naruto's semi-surprising maturity that made up Tenzu's mind. Tenzu gave Naruto one last glance and then he said, Team 7 accepts the mission, Lord Hokage. When are we to leave? While making the necessary notation, Sarutobi replied, Professor Sanada is planning on leaving for the dig in 2 days. Team 7 will be taken off the mission roster until then so that you can make the necessary preparations for the mission. Sarutobi then handed Tenzu a copy of the mission request and politely dismissed the team. Naruto reported to the inn where Professor Sanada and the rest of the professor's team were staying at about a half hour before the mission was supposed to start. Professor Sanada's expedition consisted of the professor, his daughter Mitsuki, her fiancé Kazuki, and 2 of Kazuki's classmates Toji and Kaworu. Naruto decided to start up a conversation with the guys while the professor and Mitsuki were going over some last-minute checks. So Kazuki, what's this dig about? Kazuki looked down at his quart-sized guard and replied, well, Naruto, Professor Sanada teaches techno-archaeology at the Fire University. This expedition is to see what we can find a pre-6 Realm Sage-era town that was recently discovered. Seeing the look of confusion on Naruto's face, Kazuki explained, about 400 years ago the world was very different. Advanced technology that could do things that seem unbelievable to us existed all throughout the world. Then there came the Great Cataclysm and the era of the 6 Realm Sage. Techno-archaeologists like Professor Sanada go to the ruins of these ancient cities and try to recover technology. That's how many of the modern conveniences come about. This caught Naruto's interest and he asked, so what are you hoping to find, Kazuki? What are you looking for? The college student smiled and said, we don't have anything in peculiar that we're looking for. In this field you have to take what you can find. Personally, I'm hoping to find a car in good preservation. A car is sort of like a cart that doesn't need any animals or people to pull it. We found plenty of records about cars, but no one's ever found one in good enough condition to reconstruct a working replica. Mitsuki interrupted Kazuki and Naruto's conversation at this moment by saying, Kazuki dear, would you please help me over here? It seems that father thought it was okay to just pack ramen for the expedition. Naruto quietly let Kazuki leave the table and go help his fiancée. Ramen was Naruto's favorite food, but even he knew you shouldn't have it every day. Despite the rumors at school, Naruto only had ramen 2 or 3 times a week. True, he'd wolf down several bowls each time, but that was neither here nor there. Naruto tried to strike up a conversation with Toji and Kaworu, but he didn't get very far on that score. Toji was a jock who was at the academy because it was needed in order to become an officer in the army. The only reason why Toji was on this dig was to help pull up his grade in Professor Sanada's class. Kaworu, on the other hand, was simply hard to talk to. Apparently the white-haired boy was even more sociality clueless than Naruto and liked to refer to music that hadn't been widely played for hundreds of years. The rest of Team 7 walked in just as Mitsuki and Kazuki were wrapping up their argument with the professor. Naruto looked at his teammate and said, "You might want to sit down. It seems crazy Professor only bought ramen for the expedition's food supplies. His daughter and future son-in-law are really laying into him and will probably be going out to get some more supplies soon. I think we've got an hour or so before they'll be ready to leave." Surprisingly, Sakura stated, "It's amazing that you're being so calm about this, Naruto. I have expected you to be jumping to Professor Sanada's defense given how much you like ramen." Now that comment really hurt Naruto. He thought that Sakura was more observant than that. After all, Sakura's intelligence was one of the things that Naruto found so attractive about her. Naruto's face quickly switched to his pouting mode and he replied, "Sheesh Sakura. I thought you would have realized that I only packed 2 or 3 instant containers of ramen for long missions." Tenzu couldn't help feeling a little ashamed at Sakura's actions. She should have known that about Naruto by now. It wasn't even some big secret. Sakura would have known that if she paid a little bit of attention to Naruto during mealtimes. It looked like he would have to put her through some more awareness training. Sasuke stood in the background with his typical moody game face on. He wasn't too thrilled to be on this mission since the chance of facing opponents like Zabuza were extremely low. What made the mission even harder for Sasuke to stand was the fact that the professor was apparently an idiot. This was going to be a long, dull mission. The town that Professor Sanada's expedition was after couldn't have been in a more desolate region of Fire Country. 20 miles northeast of the Wind Country border, Team 7 had to deal with the full front of the infamous Wind Wastelands. Supposedly, the arid conditions and the rocky walls around the ghost town would preserve some of the more sensitive artifacts the expedition was looking for. After the first few days of guard duty, Naruto was bored out of his mind. Staring out at endless sand is extremely dull. Naruto couldn't do any extensive ninjutsu or taijutsu training during the time he wasn't on watch because Tenzu didn't want any member of the team worn out if someone were to attack. Sure, the chance of someone attacking the expedition was almost zero, but those were Tenzu's orders. Unlike Sakura, Naruto hadn't brought anything to relax with. All Naruto had were the scrolls that he had been given in Wave. Those scrolls were extremely interesting, but after a while they became monotonous and Naruto simply created a bunch of shadow clones to practice the basic Fuinjutsu that were listed in the scroll and some basic chakra control exercises. Sakura and Sasuke would try to spend the least amount of time that they could with Naruto when they were off duty. Sure, they were good associates, possibly even friends, but they didn't want to spend all their time with Naruto. Occasionally Naruto would talk with Tenzu about one thing or another. However, that still left a good deal of time where Naruto had to keep himself busy. This left Naruto with only one way to keep himself busy: meditation. For hours on end Naruto would sit on the same rock and simply meditate. One of Naruto's teammates would pull Naruto out of his meditation if it was time to eat or it was his shift. Other than that, the other members of Team 7 would let Naruto meditate. After all, they didn't want one of the other members of the team disturbing them while they were relaxing. Well, Sakura wouldn't mind if it was Sasuke who bothered her, but that wasn't about to happen. Something unique happened to Naruto 3 days before it was time to leave the dig. Naruto had been sitting on his rock like he usually did. However, the next second later Naruto found himself sitting in a pool of water. Opening his eyes, Naruto blurted out, "Hey, what gives? This isn't my rock." Instead of sitting on the rock facing the desert, Naruto was sitting in waist-deep water in a sewer. Quickly standing up, Naruto muttered to himself, "Alright, where am I? There's no way I could just fall into a sewer without hearing the ground collapse beneath me. Besides, there's no hole in the roof. So then, what does that leave?" Naruto's eyes widened as he remembered Tenzu mentioning something about a mindscape when he explained meditation. Letting out a loud groan, Naruto said, "Great, just great. I've got a sewer for a mindscape. Why couldn't it be Gramps' office or Ichiraku Ramen?" After a few moments of ranting, Naruto calmed down and tried to think about his situation. Tenzu had said that a person's mindscape was affected by things in their lives. Naruto's eyes widened when he remembered about the Kyuubi. If he was here in his mind, then wouldn't the demon seal be around here somewhere as well? For a second, Naruto seriously considered trying to leave his mindscape. However, there was a feeling in Naruto's gut telling him that he needed to look around this place. In the end, Naruto decided to follow his gut. Naruto walked through a labyrinthine maze of sewage corridors and pipes until he finally reached the imposing iron gates of the Kyuubi's prison. Even with the dim lighting, Naruto could see the sleeping form of the Kyuubi. Its body radiated power even when it was asleep. Naruto just stood in front of the cage looking at the fox and trying to figure out what to do. The decision was taken out of Naruto's hands when the Kyuubi opened its blood-red eyes and growled out, "Why do you disturb my slumber, foolish mortal?" Naruto quickly shot back, "I was meditating and I ended up in this dump. And don't get all high and mighty with me, you're as mortal as I am." Baring its teeth, the Kyuubi sent a blast of its hot breath at Naruto. The breath wasn't burning, but it definitely was hot. Naruto stayed right where he was even though he had to shield his eyes with his arm. After a few seconds, the Kyuubi stopped trying to blow Naruto away and started to chuckle. Well, it seems that the little ape child has some substance to him. But don't think that impresses me, brat. I've eaten dozens of rabbits with more substance than you. Why did you enter my domain? Naturally, Naruto took offense at being compared to a rabbit and said, "Listen, fuzzball, I don't care what you think of me. However, I'd play nice if I were you. After all, you're just a squatter here and I'm the landlord." The Kyuubi quickly responded by saying, "Do you really think I care about what you think, mortal? You are nothing. Your village is nothing. In fact, your entire race is nothing compared to me. This prison will not hold me forever. Nothing can hold me forever, not even the gods can hold me. When I get out, you will be the first mortal that I kill." Instead of running, Naruto just stood there with his arms folded and he replied, "Get real, fuzzball. If you could have escaped, you would have long ago. There's no way you'd tolerate so many people back in Konoha thinking that I'm you. I bet that really gets to you, people thinking that big, bad Kyuubi is just a prankster who graduated last in his class. You're probably just as angry about it as I am." For a second, Naruto thought that the Kyuubi would roar out in rage at what he had said. However, all the Kyuubi did was let out a low, continuous growl. Then the Kyuubi demanded, "What do you want, brat? Even an insignificant mortal like you has to do other things than feast your eyes on me." Naruto looked the Kyuubi in the eye, folded his arms around his chest, and then proclaimed, "Let's get one thing straight, fuzzball. I hate you being in my gut just as much as you hate being here. However, you and I are stuck with each other until we both kick the bucket. Is there an agreement that we can make so that our situation is less intolerable for the both of us?" The Kyuubi stared straight at Naruto as if he was judging his container. After Naruto didn't turn away, the Kyuubi grudgingly admitted, an accord can be reached. However, such things are not to be taken lightly. Our lives may be bound, but I would rather die than see you make a mockery of my name. Prove that you are worthy, brat, and I will deal with you. While that was better than Naruto expected, he was still quite annoyed with how the Kyuubi was talking to him. Naruto wanted to tell the Kyuubi where to put it right then and there. However, Naruto held his tongue and tried to figure out what he should say. Old Man always told Naruto that he had to deal with annoying people as Hokage. What was the difference between dealing with a snobbish noble and dealing with an imprisoned demon? Naruto inquired, "How do I prove that I am worthy of making a deal with you? Moreover, how do I know you won't backstab me? You're a trickster after all." Almost instantly the Kyuubi replied, "I require two things of you, mortal. First, you shall not attempt to draw on my chakra until we reach an agreement. It is mine and I will not deal with a thief. Second, do not come to my prison again until you have become a true sage. If you do these two things, then you will have proved your worth to me. As proof of my sincerity, I'll allow the seal to draw twice the amount of energy from me to heal your body. Understand this, mortal, you have only one chance. This test, and I will never allow you to try again. Moreover, I'll do everything in my power to ensure that you die. Naruto wasn't completely sure if the Kyuubi really would try to get him killed. However, Naruto knew that he had to accept the Kyuubi's terms. The Kyuubi, even though Naruto didn't want to admit it, could be a great benefit to him in battle. Sure, it was a literal deal with the devil, but Naruto wouldn't mind making the deal if it helped him protect innocence. With a confident grin on his face, Naruto looked up and stated, "You've got yourself a deal, fuzzball. Get ready to go to the bargaining table because I won't fail your test." Tenzu was walking near Naruto and suddenly stopped in his tracks. Thanks to Hashirama's infused DNA, Tenzu was extremely sensitive to demonic chakra and instantly detected the rising levels of demonic chakra emanating from Naruto. Instantly, Tenzu prepared to use Mokuton in order to control Naruto. However, the rising demonic chakra abruptly stopped. The demonic chakra was only double the typical background level of demonic chakra that Naruto produced. What did this mean? Tenzu honestly couldn't make heads or tails of it. The amount of background demonic chakra Naruto produced wouldn't just spontaneously change. Someone, or something, had to be behind this. The fact that the background demonic chakra was exactly twice as large as it was a few moments ago only confirmed Tenzu's suspicions. Not even Tsunade would bet that this was all coincidence. Tenzu's eyes narrowed and he tried to decide what he should do. Eventually, he decided to wait and see what Naruto had to say. Naruto opened his eyes a few seconds after Tenzu made his decision. The blonde ninja looked at his teacher and asked, "Is everything okay, Tenzu?" Tenzu nodded his head and replied, "Something is bothering me, Naruto. The amount of demonic chakra you radiate just doubled a few minutes ago. What did you do to cause this?" With hand in the cookie jar look, Naruto answered, "It's an interesting story. You see, I was meditating since everything else is so boring when I accidentally went into my mindscape. While I was there, I met the Kyuubi in his cell. After a few minutes of egging each other on, he made an offer. He would be willing to make a deal with me if I become a true sage and don't take any of his chakra until we make the deal. Since I didn't want to be left high and dry, I got him to put up doubling my healing abilities so that I know that he'll hold up his end of the bargain. Now all I need to do is become a true sage and I can get the Kyuubi to make a deal with me." This wasn't the sort of situation that Tenzu was expecting. Part of Tenzu wanted to scold Naruto for being willing to trust the Kyuubi. However, another part of Tenzu couldn't help agreeing with Naruto. It seemed that the Kyuubi was holding its end of the bargain. Finally, Tenzu made up his mind and said, "Do you even know what a true sage is, Naruto?" Naruto looked down at his feet and said, Not exactly, Tenzu. Alright, I don't have a clue what a sage is." "I figured that you knew, Tenzu. You do know what a sage is, right?" Tenzu sighed and replied, "Yes, I know what a sage, and a true sage for that matter, is. However, I'm not going to tell you just yet, Naruto. One of the key things a ninja needs is the ability to gather as much information as he can and make a rational decision. You're getting better at this, Naruto, but this situation shows that you've still got a long way to go. Don't bother to try and find out what a true sage is since that knowledge is restricted to Jonin level." Naruto's shoulders dropped and he said, "So I have to a Jonin before I can make the Kyuubi pay up?" After thinking it over for a second, Tenzu said, possibly not. It may be possible to get you clearance to know what a true sage is since being a true sage is one of the Kyuubi's conditions before the demon will make a deal with you. However, just knowing what a true sage is won't be enough, Naruto. A person can't just become a sage like a person can choose to become a ninja. Otherwise, we just have sages as ninjas would be obsolete. Don't worry about it for now, Naruto. Just concentrate on getting stronger on your own abilities." There was a moment of silence as Naruto thought about what Tenzu had told him. Then Naruto gave his typical grin and said, "Just wait and see, Tenzu. I'll become the best ninja ever and it won't be because of fuzzball. Sarutobi held a meeting about 2 weeks after Team 7 got back from the dig for all the team leaders of Genin teams. The old Hokage looked around at his subordinates' faces and he said, "Well then everyone. As you all know, the Chunin exams will be held here in Konoha this time. Konoha must make a strong showing in this exam since we are hosting it. This is especially true because of the Team Utatane incident last time in Corsa. If a similar incident happens again, then we will lose potential customers." Team Utatane left a bad taste in Mei Jonin's mouths and was a very sore subject among the members of Konoha's High Council. Ayasu Utatane, Kohara Utatane's only son, had entered his Genin team into the Chunin exams last time. All 3 of Ayasu's students had been from prominent clans in the High Council. Sadly, all 3 students had been killed in the finals. What made the team members' deaths even worse for Konoha was the fact that all 3 died within 5 minutes of their matches starting, and they were the only deaths in the final round for that exam. Needless to say, that debacle had caused a hit in many people's confidence about Konoha ninjas. To everyone's surprise, Kurenai stepped forward and said, "I nominate my 3 Genin students to take the Chunin exams. Each of them has shown sufficient growth and maturity while under my command. They have earned the right to enter the exam." Asuma then added fuel to the bonfire by saying, "I also nominate my Genin students for the exam. They also have earned a shot at the exams. Not too sure if they will be promoted, but I figure it will be a good experience for them." Despite proper decorum, most of the people in Sarutobi's office started mumbling to each other and questioning the duo's judgment. A few were even trying to say that Team 8 and Team 10 couldn't compete in the exam. Finally, Sarutobi had enough and he ordered, "Quiet down everyone. There is no law against a rookie team entering the Chunin exams. It doesn't happen often, but there is nothing against it as long as the team's Jonin instructor nominates the team. Team 8 and Team 10 will be allowed to enter the exams just like any other team." Sarutobi let the crowd quiet down before he continued on. "Since this is such a heated topic, let's just get this out of the way. Tenzu, you lead the only other rookie team. Do you, or do you not, nominate Team 7 for the Chunin exams?" All eyes turned on Tenzu and he began to feel uncomfortable. After being in the ANBU for so many years, Tenzu preferred to not be the center of attention. It took Tenzu a few seconds to recover from the shock of being put on the spot and remember his answer to his answer. Tenzu turned to Sarutobi, bowed his head, and opened his mouth to give his answer.